Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming out on this beautiful, glorious day to celebrate Veterans Day and for our annual celebration. At this time, I would like to ask the colors to please represent the colors. How about just right here? Can you come around here like that?
Jim? Yep. You should let me do it directly.
Excuse me.
Oh. Detail, fall in behind the speaker, please. Stay right where you are, Tony. You're supposed to be right in front of the speaker. Step right forward here. Step forward. Both of you. That's where you two. Very good.
Don't trip on the cord. Now, if you'd please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance, and I would ask the children from Peck Place School and Bobby Brown from Boy Scout Troop number 925 to come forward to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now Dave Byrne will lead us in singing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Right shoulder.
Thank you, David. And now Rabbi Wainhouse will come forward and lead us in our invocation.
that would be perfect. There you go.
Almighty God, merciful one, we invoke thy blessings upon our country on this day as we honor our veterans. Strengthen our faith in the democratic foundations of our nation and gird us with courage and perseverance to face the future with confidence and without fear. And, O Lord, sustain our leaders and grant them wisdom to guide our country prudently and justly. Above all, O Lord, guard the valiant defenders of America. Uphold them in all their far-flung outposts. Watch over our brave soldiers. Give them courage to serve with honor, with dignity. Be with them when they are in danger. Grant that when their service is over, they return to their families sound in mind, in body, and in soul. And for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, we pray, bring comfort to their loved ones. O God of peace, help us to deliver our world at last from bloodshed and terror and war. Turn hearts ruled by hatred from their evil inclinations and intentions. May we see the day at last when peace fills this world. Let us say, Amen.
Please be seated.
Detail left face. Find yourself some seats.
Jim, you guys, we're not going to sit down.
No?
No.
Thanks.
How about 2 steps back and don't trip on the cord? How about just take 2 steps back? That'd be great. How about 2 steps back? Perfect. Thank you so much.
There are plenty of seats here if you all would like to sit. They're a little chilly, I know, but my name is Trish Pearson, and it's a pleasure to greet you all today and for this very important day. And it's wonderful to see that for once, I think those under 30 outnumber those who are over 30. That's a very good sign. This is great. And now I'd like to introduce our first selectman, Jim Zioli, as well as to recognize our other dignitaries who are here. Themis Claridis, State Representative, 114th District. Paul Davis, State Representative from the 117th District. And our members of the Board of Selectmen, Tony Nastri, Ralph Oakenquist, Mitch Goldblatt, and Joseph Blake. Thank you all for coming. And now, Mr. Zioli. I'm looking down here where you are.
Are you sure?
No.
Where is it?
Right there.
I apologize. It was under R and not Z.
But you could stay right here, please.
Okay.
Because you're tall and you look good in the back there.
We were very fortunate last year to hear wonderful, wonderful words from a young man who grew up in Orange, who has now settled in Orange and is now a member of the Orange Police Department. That young man is Joseph Finaro, and he did such a wonderful job that we invited him to come back and speak to us again. So it's my pleasure to introduce Joseph Finaro.
Thank you, Joe. We have so many different ranks now. I didn't know which one.
Good morning. State Representative Davis, State Representative Claridis, First Selectman Zioli, members of the Board of Selectmen, distinguished guests, friends and neighbors of the town of Orange. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful fall afternoon, crisp fall afternoon, to celebrate Veterans Day. As we have done for many years, today we recognize the outstanding service rendered to our great nation by our soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines, past and present. Today we take pause from the bustle of daily life to remember that freedom isn't free. And as we celebrate, our servicemen and women are deployed in support of contingency operations in over 120 different countries on 7 different continents. A few weeks ago, a good friend of mine asked me what I was going to say today. And after a brief moment to think about his question, I replied to him that I would say the same thing that I say every year. This comment, at face value, probably doesn't mean much. And it may even mean that I lack the creativity to say something new each year. But as I thought more about it, the comment began to make sense to me. And the reason it made sense to me is that year in and year out, the town of Orange and its outstanding residents have always supported the troops and taken the time to recognize the sacrifices of veterans. So each Veterans Day, I find myself here saying thank you and God bless you for your unwavering support. Your support warms our hearts and reminds us that ours is a country worth defending. As a young man, I would have never imagined that I would be standing in front of my friends and neighbors delivering a speech as a veteran. Likewise, prior to the events of September 11th, our nation had only a passing familiarity with terrorism as something that happened in other parts of the world. Now our nation is engrossed in new battles with outcomes that are as of yet uncertain even to the most experienced strategists. We now live in a world where we cannot take our safety for granted. And while we come to terms with the fact that these new battles will be long and costly, we must not forget that we would not have made it this far if it were not for the brave servicemen and women of generations past. For many years, the sacrifices of these servicemen and women kept our country safe. Their courage and dedication to duty paved the way for America to become a great nation. So today I would be remiss if I did not thank those who wore the uniform before me for their selfless service to our country. May we make it our solemn promise to never forget the sacrifices of this country's past soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines. Today, without reservation, a new generation of brave men and women are putting their lives on the line to bring the gift of freedom to people around the world. And indeed, their well-executed actions have brought hope and freedom to regions of the world where there was none before. They have planted the seeds of democracy and tended to that process as it grows. They are making headway in the war against terror and in the process keeping our country safe. These young men and women ask for little in return but our support and our love. Today, regardless of political rhetoric or media polls of popular opinion, one thing remains certain. Our soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines are in harm's way. While casualties in the war on terror may be trending downward in the past few months, the toll of men and women lost and injured continues to rise. Now more than ever, our servicemen and women need our support, for they are not the makers of policy, but rather the conduit through which freedom and hope will continue to flow. We ask and pray for nothing short of their safe and speedy return when their missions are accomplished. Let me conclude by again thanking my friends and neighbors, the residents of Orange, for leading the way and supporting our troops. Today, I ask you to continue supporting your troops with the tremendous vigor that you have in the past. Our servicemen and women truly deserve our thanks for their contributions to our country and our safety. Our prayers are for their continued well-being and safety, as well as that of their families. Again, let us never forget the brave men and women of generations past. On behalf of the United States Army and the servicemen and women around the world, thank you for your support, and God bless America.
That was wonderful.
Well said. Don, have you recruited him to be in the American Legion yet?
Just now.
Good man.
Okay.
Don Jewell's on a recruiting mission for the American Legion. Let me just warn you all. So,
Only read the check.
Who I am, right here.
And all of these. Read these. Okay.
at this time, our first selectman is going to read the names of all the veterans who have registered today, who are present, as well as some of those who may not be here today. Jim?
Thank you. Thank you to Mrs. Pearson and the Events Committee for making this honoring ceremony possible today. Thank you to all the committees. The Amity Italian Club is here. They support us at every Veterans holiday that there is for us to commemorate. Thank you for being here. The Guard is here, the Rotarians, the Orange Police Department. Who am I forgetting? Bobby Brown representing the Scouts. And I'm sure there's all my fellow representatives of the town and to the state. But before I read these names, the Legionnaires. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. I looked right at you. Joan, that's why he's here. But I was going to give a long speech, but I figured I could not keep up with the likes of my town officer, Finaro, there. And how about another round of applause? That was an incredible speech. Truly very moving for a young man to be able to put such words to paper. That's incredible. But I was emailed 3 little paragraphs, and some of you have probably heard it in the past, and some of you may have not. And so please bear with me as I read these, because I think all 3 of them will make people think. The older people will understand. The younger people are probably going to question parents or grandparents. When in England at a fairly large conference, Colin Powell was asked by the Archbishop of Canterbury if our plans for Iraq were just an example of empire building by George Bush. He answered by saying, "Over the years, the United States has sent many of its fine young men and women into great perils to fight for freedom beyond our borders. The only amount of land we have ever asked for in return is enough to bury those that did not return." The room became very quiet at that time. Then there was a conference in France where a number of international engineers were taking part, including French and American. During a break, one of the French engineers came back into the room saying, "Have you heard the latest dumb stunt Bush has done? He has sent an aircraft carrier to Indonesia to help the tsunami victims. What does he intend to do? Bomb them?" A Boeing engineer stood up and replied quietly, "Our carriers have 3 hospitals on board that can treat several hundred people. They are nuclear powered and can supply emergency electrical power to shore facilities. They have 3 cafeterias with the capacity to feed 3,000 people 3 meals a day. They can produce several thousand gallons of fresh water from seawater each day. And they carry half a dozen helicopters for use in transporting victims and injured to and from their flight deck. We have 11 such ships. How many does France have?" Silence. A Navy admiral was attending a naval conference that included admirals from the U.S., English, Canadian, Australian, and French navies. At a cocktail reception, he found himself standing with a large group of officers that included personnel from most of those countries. Everyone was chatting away in English as they sipped their drinks, but a French admiral suddenly complained that whereas Europeans learn to speak many languages, Americans learn only English. He then asked, "Why is it that we have to speak English in these conferences rather than speaking French?" Without hesitating, the American admiral replied, "Maybe it's because the Brits, Canadians, Aussies, and Americans arranged it so you wouldn't have to speak German." And those 3 paragraphs were emailed to me by a friend and some other people probably that are standing here. And I found them much better than my own speech, and I thank her for sending that to me. With that said, I will now recognize veterans in the audience, and if we miss you, please notify us so that we can add you to the list that we're holding here. And stand as I call your names, please. Eugene Hakel. Harry Shergwin. Don Lewis. Roland Hine. John Van Arman. Ralph Oakenquist, George Whitney, Donald Galligan, Joseph Casacrio, John Barton, Paul Tarbox, Vincent Gambardella, Edward Martin, Glenn Pearson, I believe it says Raoul Gagne, John Donahue, Carmine DeAndrea, Ted Davis, Charles Robert, Joseph Finaro, Michael Kaufman, Ernest Kirschberg, Peter McDonald, Bob Swirsky, Ken Leaf, Tony Monaco. That's an order. James Morena, Chet Blake, Arnold Casola, Bill Lewis, John Agapio, Donald Jewell, Pat Franco, Chris Grizzle, Michael McClavey, oh boy, Bruce Przaki? I apologize. Okay.
Richard, John.
John, I believe this says Cucurello. Thank you.
Kelly Downey.
Kelly Downey.
Richard Downey.
Richard Dona. Gary Butler. William Stanton. Nicholas Straza. John Sereski. Joseph Garisto. And if there is anyone that we missed, please inform us. Mr. Maxwell and Mrs. Oakenquist are on the side at that table. Please let us know if you have not been recognized. Joseph Blake came late, did not sign in. Thank you. Lawrence Tchaikovsky came late, did not sign in. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. At this time, would everyone whose name was just read please rise so we can give you a final round of applause, please? Just for a minute. This is quite an impressive number. All right, Don, now that you're up. This time, the American Legion Auxiliary and the members of the Italian American Club will come forward to lay a wreath.
That's very considerate of you to know that.
Thank you. Mr. Cataldi? Beautiful. Thank you very much. And at this time, I would like to invite Mary Jewell and Don Jewell to both come to the podium to share a few words with us. I want to make sure you get your exercise today, Don. Take your time. Watch the cord. Good.
Okay. Would you like me to go first?
Yes, I
Go
will.
ahead, Mary. Talk
Is
loud.
that okay?
Yeah, a little more.
One more? How's that?
First of all, I'd like to thank all the veterans. And I have a poem I'd like to read to you. He may be old and bent and frail, his hearing not so keen, and there's a sadness in his eyes from all that he has seen. The blood and pain, the mournful cries, the horrors of the war. Was the cost of human life worth what they all fought for? He is a veteran and he is proud. Ah, the stories he could tell. Instead, he lives with memories of his own private hell. If not for veterans, one and all, where would any of us be? Not living as we chose to live, not living our lives free. We say we don't support the war. Why should our country fight and shed our blood on foreign soil? We just don't think it right. The veterans never thought to ask, what am I doing here? Their country called them, they obeyed. The freedom call was clear. Support the war? That's up to you. But to support the troops, you must. They count on us to keep them strong, and Americans they trust. So when you see a veteran or a soldier serving now, say thanks and smile and shake their hand and make a solemn vow. Support our troops, care for the vets. They're there for you and me. Because of their unselfishness, America is free. God bless one and all. Yeah, I'm all right.
Go this way.
Oh,
You look
okay.
between the
Thank you.
flag.
Yes, right.
Can you handle it?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to help?
You're up, Don. I'll help her.
Now I'm up. You notice I'm wearing gloves? Poor Bob, he had a little problem with his hands there. I would have loaned him my gloves if he'd asked. But I want to thank the Orange Committee for setting up this whole deal. Can you hear me all right? And of course, in the name of the veterans here assembled and throughout the town, I want to thank you in their name. Thank you. I want to thank our newly elected officials and wish them well in their endeavors. And I want to start a little bit of a thing I got here. I've been thinking about it. Why we are here, perhaps, is a whole theory. For God and country, we associate ourselves for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories of our associations in the great wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to the community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses, to make right the master of might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to conserve and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness. I think those are great words, and if you belong to the American Legion, you'll hear them at every one of our meetings. And those of you who stood up today and are not a member of a veterans organization, I do have a couple applications in my hand here. I wanted to state why I brought this along, this statement. This is called the preamble to our American Legion. To uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. Every veteran here swore to do that when he was enlisted or drafted or went into the service. He swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. To maintain law and order. We do not want an anarchy in this country, ever. To foster and perpetuate 100% Americanism, that's our natural goal for the great country we're in. And this is the important one for today, especially to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to our community, state, and nation. We've just seen a nice election around here. All the politicians, top to bottom, deserve our appreciation for taking the time and the effort to try to make our country better. And of course, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to transmit the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy throughout our whole world and system. And lastly, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our mutual help. To concentrate and sanctify our comradeship by our mutual helpfulness. And that, I think, is the most important one, and I stutter like a 2-year-old over it. However, I think it's very important that we have mutual helpfulness, and I figure we should all make that endeavor. I think I've said enough. I thank you very much, and I'm going to sit down now. Thank you.
Watch out for the cord. Don? Don? Okay, good. Great. Thank you, Don. And now I'd like to ask Dave Byrne to come back up here, and he's going to lead us in the singing of the songs from our military branches. And the words have been passed around. I hope you've all got them, or if you don't have them, you can share with someone. Dave? Singing makes you warm.
Everybody take a deep breath. There are a lot of words. We're going to start with the Army. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong, for where'er we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Through our last night on shore, drink to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. At 'em, boys, give 'em the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame or go down in flame. Nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, We will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of the United States Marines. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in Thee. Through howling gale and shot and shell, to win our victory. Semper Paratus is our God, our pledge, our motto too. We're always ready, do or die. Aye, Coast Guard, we fight for you.
Thank you. That was great. Oh, don't forget your hat. That was wonderful, David. And now we're going to have the children from Peck Place School who are going to sing a song for us. Come on up, kids. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Paluzzi, who is a teacher at Peck Place, who came with his sound system and set it all up and got the kids here, and we are most appreciative for that. I'm not used to having a key grip. Thank you. Let's have another round of applause for our great singers. You are wonderful. And for all of you. You sang very, very well. I hope you'll be around for our tree lighting. We always need help with Christmas carols. The key to this ceremony is tradition. And I would be remiss if I did not recognize Don and Mary Jewell, who are two people who have done more to make sure that this ceremony happens every year, happens in the right way, gets the people here, and you have been very committed to the importance of this event. And special events committees come and go, and people change in town, and the faces may change, but you folks have made sure that the traditions of the Legion and the honors of our veterans have been upheld at this event, at Flag Day, at Memorial Day, and we owe it to you to help us in making sure this happens. That being said, he needs help. So I would hope that all the folks that are on that list, if you are not members of the American Legion, you would please step up and see Don or see Peter McDonald right here. Peter, raise your hand. And talk about belonging to the Legion. They are a wonderful organization. They need more members. They need younger members and people with strong backs and strong minds as well. Right? But please think about doing it, because it's so important, because it's that group that keeps this tradition alive. We have other opportunities to celebrate Veterans Day in town. The Senior Center on Tuesday the 13th is going to have a program, Soldier Songs, sung by Michael McCann. It's at 1 o'clock at the Senior Center. All are welcome, and he's not only going to sing, but he's going to invite a lively discussion. So we have a second opportunity to celebrate Veterans Day. It's going to be a great week. And lastly, I would like to say that we've had a lot of mention here today about whether you agree with the war or agree with whether or not we should be over there, but we all know that the fact remains that we have young men and women who are fighting over in that country at great personal sacrifice, never intending when they join the National Guard or the Reserves that perhaps they would end up in the midst of fighting when they were home and they have children and families who are here at home. And that being said, Orange is a community that cares. Anytime we ask anyone to collect anything and make a donation or please help those in need, you're right there every time. I have lived here for 20 plus years, and it is amazing to me the response that the people in this town will make. And we have a group of women at Holy Infant Church, the Women's Guild, who is doing a collection for our veterans in Iraq. And today in our bulletin there was a letter from a young man who is Sergeant Gordon Hiltz, who was in the United States Marine Corps. And he wrote, "I have written you letters when I was stationed at a small base up in the Syrian border and have been distressed to hear that you have not received them. I hope this letter finds you. I am back in our main base for a week before I return to the other one. This is where all my mail from the last 7 weeks has been waiting for me. I can't thank all of you enough for the time and effort you have spent in sending me as much as you have. Your cards and psalms have been extremely meaningful. I look forward to thanking each of you face to face this June. Please take care of yourself. Your friend, always, Sergeant Gordon Hiltz." And there's a note at the bottom of this that Sergeant Hiltz will be redeployed in March of 2008. Then below that is a list of things that are needed for our armed forces. And they need coffee, cookies, canned fruit, peanut butter, Nutella, canned spaghetti, energy drinks, fruit drinks, hard candy and gum, razor blades, toothpaste, shaving cream, writing paper, current paperback books and magazines, Gold's foot powder, I can't imagine why, over-the-counter cold remedies, and the airmen need black t-shirts and black boot socks, and the infantry need olive green t-shirts and olive green boot socks. When I read that, I thought, how could it possibly be that they don't have enough socks and shirts? But someone pointed out that the laundromats are pretty far between over there, so they need lots of them. If anyone would like to participate in this, you can bring it to Holy Infant, to the rectory, anytime during the next couple of weeks, particularly by Thanksgiving weekend, the weekend after Thanksgiving. That will be the end of the collection. We're having an interfaith service at Holy Infant next Sunday, and if you're coming, please bring some of these items along. I see the Barrett sisters are standing in the back here, and if you have questions, I ran through the list rather quickly, I'm going to give it to her and she can share it with you. Because we are a community that cares, this event will go on. and we care about our servicemen, and we're so thankful that you all took the time to come here today to be recognized. We are honored by your presence, and I think you should know that by as the number of young people who are here today to honor you. And we look forward to seeing you again next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Calistro to please play taps. After we retire the colors, I hope you will stay. We have refreshments. They're over there. And please stay and visit. And also, if anyone has not received the little gift that we have for the veterans, or if there's a veteran who isn't here that you would like to bring one, please go over to our table, and we will be happy to give you a little commemoration of the day. Thank you all very, very much for coming. And now, if you would retire the colors, Don.
Detail attention. Right face. Forward march.
They're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going there.